I want you to close your eyes for a second. Seriously, just humor me. I want you to transport yourself to the future. It's February 2026. The air is biting cold, crisp, perfect, that kind of cold that just wakes up your lungs. You're standing at the base of a mountain in Cortina, Italy.
Not a bad place to be on a Tuesday, I'll take it.
Not at all. The Winter Olympics are in full swing. The energy is just vibrating in the air. You can hear the cowbells, the crowd roaring in like 5 different languages. You're watching the downhill skiing final. A skier comes rocketing down the mountain 70, 80 miles an hour on 2 little sticks of fiberglass, cuts that final turn, ice spraying everywhere, crosses the line, looks up at the clock, and realizes they just won gold.
The pinnacle. That one moment of pure human achievement. The glory.
The moment of glory. But here's what I want you to really notice. When the camera zooms in on that athlete, when they drop to their knees or throw their hands up in the air, look at who is around them.
They're never alone. Not for a second.
Never. They are immediately swarmed. And I'm not just talking about, like, a hug from a mom or dad. I'm talking about a phalanx of people in matching jackets. You've got the technical coach, the strength coach, the nutritionist, the physical therapist, the sports psychologist.
Oh, absolutely. There's probably a guy whose only job is to wax the left ski for specifically -5-degree snow conditions. A specialist for the specialists.
Exactly. It's a literal army. It is a massive, expensive, highly specialized ecosystem designed for one single output: high performance. The rule is simple.
If you want to win gold, you do not do it alone. It's impossible.
You surround yourself with experts who know more than you do about their specific thing. Now, let's teleport. Snap your fingers. We are leaving Italy. We are going to, let's say, a random industrial park in Grand Ledge, Michigan.
Okay, the vibe has shifted significantly. We've gone from Prosecco to something else.
Just a little bit. And I want to look at a different kind of high-stakes performer. Let's look at the owner of a restoration company, or maybe a custom home builder, or an HVAC tech who's grown into a $2 million business.
And let's be really clear here. The stakes for them, arguably they're just as high as the Olympian. Maybe even higher.
I would say higher. We aren't talking about a medal on a shelf that gathers dust. We are talking about mortgages.
Right.
We're talking about college funds for 3 kids. We're talking about the livelihoods of 15 employees and their families.
It's payroll. It's the ability to sleep at night. It's retirement, legacy.
This person is trying to win their own version of a gold medal. But, and here's the paradox we are going to unpack today, where is their team? Where is their army of specialists?
Usually. They're sitting in the cab of a Ford F-150 eating a lukewarm gas station sandwich, probably a ham and Swiss that's been sitting under a heat lamp for way too long, staring at a phone that will not stop ringing, and they are completely, utterly alone.
That is the gold medal paradox, and it makes absolutely no sense. Why is it that in sports, the higher the stakes, the bigger the team? But in small business, specifically in the service sector, the higher the stakes, the more isolated the owner becomes.
It's a tragedy, honestly. It's this structural flaw in how we view entrepreneurship in our culture. And it's a central theme of this whole deep dive today. We are looking at some incredible insights from a guy named Ryan Hurst.
I love this guy's background. We're going to get to that in a minute because it is not your typical business guru backstory. He didn't start at McKinsey and he didn't, found a tech startup in a garage.
No, his background is bloody. Literally bloody.
But Ryan identifies this trap that so many of us fall into. He calls it the linchpin identity.
Yeah, the linchpin. And it sounds like a compliment, doesn't it? I'm the linchpin. I hold it all together. Without me, the wheels fall off. It feels powerful.
It feeds the ego like crazy. I'm the hero of my own story.
It does. It feels good to be the superhero. The one who solves every problem. The one who answers every question. Oh, the truck broke down, call me. Client is mad, don't worry, I'll handle it. Supplier sent the wrong parts. Fine, I'll drive 3 hours to fix it myself. But Ryan makes this brutal distinction here. He says, if you are the linchpin, you haven't actually built a business.
What have you built then?
You've built the most stressful, high-risk, expensive job you have ever had.
Oof, most expensive job. That hits a little too close to home for a lot of people listening, I bet.
It should, because think about it. A business is supposed to be an asset. An asset functions and ideally grows independent of the owner. If you leave for a month and the business grows, you have an asset. If you leave for a month and the business implodes,
you have a job. A really demanding one.
A really demanding one. And for these linchpin owners, if you actually break down their hourly rate factoring in the 60, 70-hour weeks, the nights, the weekends, the risk, the debt, the stress.
I don't even want to do that math. It's too depressing.
Most of them are making less per hour than they would if they just went and got a job working for their biggest competitor. They are the lowest paid, highest stress employee in the building.
That is the reality we are trying to solve today. So our mission for this deep dive is clear. We are going to figure out how to move from being that exhausted, lonely linchpin to being the gold medalist with the team. And spoiler alert, the solution is not work harder.
It is never work harder. You're already at max capacity. If hard work was the only metric, every roofer I know would be a billionaire by now.
The solution involves something that feels really counterintuitive. It involves firing your cheerleaders.
And hiring a guide.
We're going to talk about why the people who love you the most might be the most dangerous people for your business strategy. It's a tough concept. We're going to talk about multi-system organ failure, which is where Ryan's wild background comes in. And we're going to look at 3 specific case studies where business owners found hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting in their blind spots.
The blind spot tax. I love that concept. It's the money you pay for what you can't see.
It's painful, but we have to look at it. So let's start with the isolation. Let's go back to that guy in the truck with the sandwich. Ryan calls this the Tuesday afternoon syndrome.
Oh, we all know Tuesday afternoon. It's 2 o'clock. The caffeine from the morning is long gone. The optimism of Monday is a distant memory. You just found out your lead tech is quitting because he wants to start his own thing and compete with you.
Oh, that's a double whammy.
A vendor is on the phone demanding payment, but your biggest client is 60 days late on their payment, so cash flow is completely crunched, and your phone is just buzzing off the hook.
It's that feeling of the walls closing in, and all you want to do, all you can think about, is surviving until 5 o'clock so you can go home and try to act normal for your family.
Right. And you walk through that door and you're wearing the weight of the entire world. You're physically there at the dinner table, but mentally you're checking the bank balance in your head. You're replaying that angry client call. And your spouse, your wife, your husband, whoever, they love you. They see the gray hairs coming in. They see the dark circles under your eyes. They see you just staring at the wall during dinner. And what do they say?
They say the kindest thing possible. They put their hand on your shoulder and they say, "Honey, I just want you to be happy. You don't have to kill yourself over this. Just do whatever makes you happy. If it's too much, just stop."
It sounds so supportive. It sounds like pure love.
Because it is love. They mean well. They're not trying to sabotage you.
It is love. But Ryan argues it's terrible business advice. In fact, it can be lethal to your company.
How can love be lethal? That feels so wrong to say out loud.
Because your spouse is optimizing for your comfort. Their primary goal is to stop your pain. Right now. If you are in pain because the business is hard, the fastest way to stop that pain is to quit. Or stop pushing so hard.
Yeah.
Or to avoid that difficult firing that's been keeping you up at night for weeks.
So happiness in that moment looks like avoidance. It looks like retreat. It doesn't look like growth.
Exactly. A spouse cannot look at your P&L statement and say, "Hey, honey, I love you, but the reason you're so stressed isn't because the business is bad. It's because your gross margin has slipped from 42% to 35% because you haven't raised your prices in 3 years and your labor efficiency is down 10%.
Laughs. No, my wife definitely does not say that. If she did, I'd be very, very scared. And also impressed.
They lack the context, and they lack the technical expertise. They are cheerleaders. And what does a cheerleader do? They stand on the sidelines and they yell, "You can do it, keep going, go team." They're there for moral support.
But they don't know what I'm doing. They don't know the playbook. They just know I'm on the field and I look tired.
Right. A cheerleader doesn't run onto the field and say, "Hey, your stance is wrong, the wind is coming from the north, and you need to adjust your grip on the bat." That is what a coach does. A cheerleader validates your emotions. A coach validates your data.
Wow. That distinction is huge. Validating emotions versus validating data. Because when I'm stressed, I absolutely want my emotions validated. I want a hug. I want someone to say, "You're right, this is hard."
And you should get that hug. For your marriage, you absolutely need a cheerleader. Go to them for the hug, but do not go to them for the business strategy. For your business, for your P&L, you need someone who doesn't care about your feelings.
That sounds so harsh. I don't care about your feelings.
It is harsh, but it's necessary for growth. A guide or a coach cares about your results. They care about your potential. They care about the goal you said you wanted to achieve. If you are running full speed towards a cliff, a cheerleader is on the sideline yelling, "I support you in whatever you do." A guide tackles you.
Laughs. I'd much prefer the tackle, honestly. Even if it hurts in the moment. Because the cliff hurts a lot more. But, okay, if the spouse is out of the strategy game, what about friends? What about other business owners? Surely they get it.
This is what Ryan calls the drowning person problem. If you go to a peer group, say, other guys running similar-sized service businesses in your town, chances are they are swimming in the exact same choppy waters you are.
So it's the blind leading the blind.
It's one drowning person trying to save another drowning person. You swim over and ask, hey, how do you keep your head above water? And they say, I don't know, I'm just kicking really, really hard. That's not a strategy. That's just survival.
They can share tactics. Maybe, I started using this software, or I buy my parts from this new supplier.
Sure, they can share tips. Hey, try this wrench, it works better. But they generally share the same structural blind spots. They accept the industry norms as gospel. Oh yeah, everyone works 60 hours a week. That's just the job.
Yeah.
A guide is supposed to challenge that norm and ask why.
And then, of course, the last group you might talk to is your competitors.
Well, obviously. I mean, I hope no one is asking their direct competitor for advice. But you'd be surprised how many people try to network with competitors hoping to glean some secrets. But a competitor has a vested interest in you not winning. They might be friendly at the trade show, buy you a beer, but they are not going to give you the secret sauce that takes market share directly away from them.
So let's just recap the isolation here. Your spouse loves you but lacks context and technical skill, so they're a cheerleader. Your friends are probably drowning alongside you. Your competitors secretly want you to fail.
And you are sitting in the truck alone with that cold sandwich.
This brings us to the guide. And this is where we have to introduce Ryan Hurst properly. Because when I think of a business guide or a profit advisor, I picture, I don't know, a retired CEO who plays a lot of golf, or some MBA in a perfectly pressed suit who's never held a wrench in his life.
Ryan is definitely not that. This is my favorite part of the material because it's so unexpected. Ryan spent over 25 years in healthcare.
He's a nurse.
An ICU nurse, intensive care unit, and the OR. Since 1999, he has spent decades dealing with literal life and death physiology. He's seen people at their absolute worst, physically speaking.
That is a wild crossover. From the ICU to the P&L sheet, how does that even translate?
It translates perfectly if you start to view a business not as a machine, but as a living organism. Ryan uses this powerful framework of multi-system organ failure.
Okay, that sounds terrifying, but unpack it. How does a business get organ failure?
So in the ICU, Ryan explains that patients rarely die from just one thing. It's rarely just the heart stopped out of nowhere. It's usually a cascade, a slow-moving chain reaction.
A domino effect, right?
Exactly. For example, the patient has had diabetes for years, which led to vascular disease over a decade. That vascular disease put a huge amount of stress on the kidneys. So the kidneys start to shut down, which means toxins build up in the blood. That toxicity eventually poisons and stops the heart.
It's never just one thing. It's a system of things.
It's a system. And here's the kicker. The patient often doesn't see it coming because they're just living their life. They might treat the symptom, oh, my foot hurts, or I'm a little short of breath, so I'll just sit down. But they're totally ignoring the systemic failure happening underneath the surface. Ryan argues that most business owners are just treating symptoms while the organism is slowly dying.
Give me a business example of this. Paint that picture for me.
Okay. Let's say an owner says, I have a cash flow problem. That's the symptom. That's a chest pain. It hurts to look at the bank account, so they try to treat it like a headache. They take a painkiller.
Which would be what? Taking out a loan? A line of credit?
Exactly. Or they start chasing invoices aggressively. Or they stop paying themselves. They treat the cash, which is the blood.
But that's not the disease.
No. The systemic failure, the organ that's failing, might be in operations. Maybe they have to go back and fix their work 3 times on every job because they don't have training checklists for their new hires. That rework costs money and wastes time. That leads to delayed payments from an angry client. That leads to the cash crunch. The cash flow problem is the heart attack, but the disease is in the kidneys, the operational systems.
So if you throw money at the cash crunch, the heart, but you don't fix the checklist, the kidneys, the patient still dies. It just takes a little longer.
The patient dies. You have to treat the root cause. You have to understand the physiology of the business.
And this is where that outsider perspective is so crucial. Ryan uses this analogy of the jar. He says, you can't read the label when you are inside the jar.
Oh, that is good. That is so sticky.
It's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you are the owner, you are inside the jar. You are swimming in the ingredients, the daily fires, the personnel issues, the client demands. You literally cannot see the label. You don't know if you're a jar of strawberry jam or a jar of toxic waste. You're just wet.
You need someone standing outside the jar to calmly pick it up, turn it around, read the ingredients, and tell you what you are. Hey, you think you're making jam, but you're actually making vinegar.
Precisely. And this totally debunks the common excuse that you only need advice from someone who has built your exact business.
I hear that all the time. Oh, this consultant doesn't know plumbing, so he can't help my plumbing business.
Yeah.
He's never installed a furnace.
It's such a fallacy. Does a doctor need to have had diabetes to treat diabetes?
No, that would be completely ridiculous. I'm sorry, doctor, I can't let you perform this heart surgery unless you've had a triple bypass yourself. It's absurd.
Right. They don't need to experience the disease. They need to recognize the patterns of the disease. They need to know what the labs look like. Ryan acts as the clinician. He looks at the labs of your business, your conversion rates, your margins, your turnover, your response times, and he spots patterns that you are way too close to see.
And patterns are so powerful because patterns predict the future. If you see the pattern early enough, you know what happens next unless you intervene.
And that intervention is usually where all the money is hidden. Which brings us to the blind spot tax.
The blind spot tax. I love it. The money you pay for what you cannot see.
We have 3 case studies here that Ryan shared. And I want to go through these in detail because the numbers are just staggering. We are not talking about saving $50 on printer paper here.
No, this is life-changing money. This is pay off your house money.
Let's start with the restoration company. This is a classic symptom versus reality situation.
Okay, so here's the setup. It's a restoration, business fire, water, mold, super high stress, high urgency. The owner comes to Ryan and says the classic line, "My problem is leads. I need more leads. If the phone just rang more, I'd be rich."
Every single business owner says that. I just need more at-bats. I need more swings at the plate.
It's the default answer. So the clinician Ryan says, okay, let's look at the labs. He checks the marketing. He checks the Google ads, the SEO. And you know what?
Yeah.
It's actually working pretty well. The phone is physically ringing. But then he looks at the conversion rate, the percentage of calls that actually turn into paid jobs.
And what was it?
It was 43%.
Is that good? Bad. I have no baseline for the restoration industry.
In restoration, it's absolutely terrible. Think about the psychology of that customer. If your basement is full of sewage or your kitchen just caught fire, are you shopping around? Are you reading Yelp reviews for 3 days and getting 3 different quotes?
No. I am in full-on panic dialing mode. I am looking for a hero. I am standing in 6 inches of water wearing my pajamas.
Exactly. You want the first person who answers the phone and says, I can be there in an hour. So conversion rates in that industry should be really high, 60, 70, maybe even 80%. So Ryan dug into the why. He tracked the leads. He followed the blood trail, so to speak, and he found a response gap.
What's a response gap?
It's the time between the customer calling in a panic and the company actually speaking to them or showing up. He found a 3-hour average delay.
3 hours. In an emergency. That's insane.
The call would go to voicemail, or an answering service would take a message, and a project manager who was busy on another job site would try to call back 3 hours later.
That lead is dead. That lead has been dead for 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Completely. The customer hung up, called the next guy on the Google list, and that guy answered on the first ring. So the organ failure wasn't marketing, the lungs, getting air in. It was operations, the reflexes, the nervous system.
So what was the fix? Do they have to spend a ton more money on ads?
$0. They just changed the process. They simply mandated that all emergency calls be answered live or returned within 60 minutes. No exceptions. They set up a rotation so someone was always on call.
And the result of that one simple change?
The conversion rate jumped from 43% to 71% with the exact same number of leads.
And what does that look like in dollars?
That resulted in $147,000 in found annual revenue.
$147,000 just sitting there, lost in a 3-hour gap.
That is the blind spot tax. He was paying $147K a year for the privilege of calling people back late. And remember, he was ready to spend more money on marketing to get more leads. That would have just been pouring more water into a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom.
That is so painful to hear, but it's also so empowering. Because it was fixable without spending a single dime.
It's completely fixable once you see it, but you have to be willing to look at the chart at the labs.
Okay, case study number 2. The contractor. This one is in Delta Township.
Right, a general contractor. He does renovations, additions, remodeling. The Symptom, he's converting only 38% of his estimates. He's spending all this time driving to houses, measuring everything, listening to the homeowner's dreams for 2 hours, going back to the office, writing up these detailed bids, and then losing more than 6 out of every 10.
That is just demoralizing. You do all that free consulting work for absolutely nothing.
It's exhausting. And the industry standard is usually around 60 to 70% for a good established contractor. So he's leaving massive amounts of money on the table. The owner thought, my prices are too high, or people around here are just cheap.
Blaming the market. The economy's bad. No one values quality anymore. The classic excuses.
Ryan looks at the mechanism. He doesn't look at the prices first. He looks at the proposal itself, the physical document he hands to the client.
And what did it look like?
It looked like an invoice from an auto mechanic, just a list of line items. Drywall, $2,000. Paint, $1,000. Labor, $5,000. Total, $8,000.
It's purely transactional. It feels like a bill before you've even agreed to the work.
Worse than that, it commoditizes him. When you give a customer a line item list like that, you are practically begging them to price shop. They look at paint, $1,000, and think, wait a minute, I can buy paint for $200 at Home Depot. Why is this guy ripping me off? They don't see the skill, the prep work, the insurance, the cleanup, the years of experience.
So how do you fix a piece of paper?
You don't fix the paper, you fix the positioning. Ryan helped him completely rebuild the proposal to include education and trust building. They added a new section right at the beginning called What to Watch Out For When Hiring a Contractor.
Ooh, I like that. It's the fear angle, but in a helpful way.
It's the expert guide angle. The proposal listed all the common pitfalls in renovations contractors who don't seal edges properly, or use cheap materials that fail in 2 years, or don't pull the right permits. By listing all the dangers, the contractor is implicitly saying, I am the safe choice, I know where all the landmines are, and I will guide you around them.
It builds so much trust. It reframes the conversation from how much does it cost to how do I avoid a nightmare. It says, I am not just a laborer, I am a professional who protects you.
And the result was incredible. His conversion rate hit 64% in 90 days.
That is a massive, massive swing from 38% to 64%.
Yeah. $186,000 in additional annual revenue. And here's the key, and I want everyone listening to really hear this part. His fixed costs, his truck, his insurance, his shop, stayed exactly the same. He didn't have to buy more equipment or hire more people right away. That $186K is almost pure profit.
That is, pay off the mortgage money, that's send your kid to college money, all from changing how you present the bid.
It's the psychology of value. It's everything.
Okay, last one, the chiropractor, and this one. This one is going to hurt for anyone who sells their time for a living. If you're a consultant, a therapist, an attorney, listen up right now.
The time trap, the symptom. She is working 60 hours a week, 6 days a week. She hasn't taken a real vacation in 2 years. She's missing her daughter's swim meets. She feels like she's on a treadmill she can't get off.
This is the absolute linchpin nightmare. Making decent money, maybe, but having no life to spend it on.
And she thought the solution was to hire another doctor. I need to clone myself. That's the only way out.
Which is an expensive solution.
Yeah.
And super complicated. Now you're managing another professional.
Very. Ryan came in and just looked at her schedule for a week. He diagnosed bottleneck syndrome. She was doing everything. She was doing $25 an hour work like filing, scheduling appointments, cleaning the adjustment tables, answering the phone, while $200 an hour work, actually treating patients, strategic planning, marketing was being squeezed out.
It's the classic, I can do it faster myself fallacy.
It'll take too long to explain it to someone else, so I'll just do it. So she's literally changing the toilet paper roll in the bathroom while a new high-value patient is waiting in the lobby. It's complete madness.
So the intervention was delegation.
Delegation systems. And this was the brave part, a pricing structure adjustment. They did an analysis and realized a small percentage of her clients were causing most of the headaches. So they stopped catering to the discount-seeking clients who demanded the most time and had the worst attitudes.
The high-maintenance, low-margin clients. The vampires that suck your time and energy.
She fired the vampires. She delegated all the admin work to a new hire, and she raised her rates for the high-value services.
And the result of all that.
She dropped to 45 hours a week. She got her Saturdays back. She's at every single swim meet now.
And her revenue. It must have gone down, right? She was working less.
It increased by $75,000.
She worked less and made more money. That sounds like a scam. It sounds like one of those internet ads you see at 2 a.m.
It's not a scam. It's just optimization. She stopped doing low-value work, and she stopped serving low-value clients. She optimized the organism. She cleared the blockage in the arteries so the blood could flow to the important parts.
This connects directly to the psychology of pricing. Because that chiropractor had to have the courage to say no and to charge what she was worth. And that leads us to the pricing fear.
This is a universal fear. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It's the fear that if I raise my prices by 5%, every single one of my clients will leave, and I will be destitute and living under a bridge.
We have an example here from a service provider in East Lansing. She looked at her numbers and realized she was undercharging by $40,000 annually compared to her competitors.
40 grand. She was essentially donating a full-time salary to her clients every single year out of fear, just giving it away.
Why? Why do we do this to ourselves?
Because she didn't understand the fundamental difference between variable costs and fixed costs. She saw it all as one big emotional pot of money.
Okay, break that down for the non-accountants listening. Keep it simple.
A guide helped you see this clearly. Fixed costs are things you pay no matter what. Your rent, your insurance, your software subscriptions. Whether you serve one client or 100 clients, the rent is due. Variable costs are tied directly to doing the work materials, hourly labor for that specific job, gas to get there. When you raise your prices, you are increasing the margin on every single transaction.
Okay, that makes sense.
So even if you lose a few customers, the math usually works out massively in your favor because you are doing less work for more profit per unit. You cover your fixed costs way faster. The rest of the month is pure profit.
So what happened when she finally got the courage and raised her prices?
She was terrified. She thought the sky was going to fall. She was convinced her phone would stop ringing forever. In the end, she lost 2 clients.
2? Out of how many?
Dozens. She had a solid client base. Just 2 left. And guess which 2 they were?
Let me guess. The vampires.
The absolute biggest pains in the neck she had.
Yeah.
The ones who called on weekends. The ones who complained about everything and always paid late.
The PITA clients. The pain in the ear.
Exactly. She kept 94% of her client base. Her profit margins jumped from a measly 12% to a healthy 28%. That is more than double the profitability on slightly less work.
Just by overcoming the fear. By having a guide stand outside the jar and say, the math says you will be fine. Trust the data, not the fear.
It's the difference between emotional decision-making and data-driven decision-making. Emotion says, danger, run away. Data says, opportunity, proceed with caution.
Speaking of emotion, let's touch on the most emotional topic in business right now, hiring. And that phrase we hear everywhere, nobody wants to work.
The nobody wants to work myth. It is the favorite complaint of the exhausted business owner. It's the easy answer. Millennials are lazy. Gen Z won't get off their phones. It's an abdication of responsibility.
We have another restoration business here in the notes with chronic turnover. Every 8 months, their employees would quit or get fired. It was a constant revolving door of new faces.
And the cost of that is just staggering. People don't realize it. Ryan has a formula, and he estimates it at $35,000 per replacement hire for a skilled technician.
35 grand. How? That seems really high for a tech making 20 bucks an hour.
It adds up incredibly fast. You've got recruiting, cost-placing ads, the time spent doing interviews, you've got training time. You have to pay a senior guy to watch the new guy, so you lose productivity from both of them for weeks. Uniforms, equipment. Then there's the mistakes made by the new guy, breaking a tool, damaging a client's wall, rework, and the incredible stress on the rest of the team who have to pick up the slack. If you lose 3 guys a year, you're burning over $100K.
So the owner just says, kids these days are lazy. It's their fault.
That's the easy answer. It absolved the owner of any responsibility. But the guide looks closer. Ryan looked at their onboarding process, and he found out there wasn't one.
Ah, there it is.
New hires were basically thrown into the fire on day 1. Here's a mop. Go clean up that sewage in the basement. Good luck. There was no training manual, no checklists, no standard operating procedures or SOPs.
So they were set up to fail from the very beginning.
They were completely set up to fail. Imagine starting a new job, really wanting to do well, but not knowing what to do or who to ask. You feel incompetent. You get yelled at for mistakes you didn't even know you were making. So what do you do after a few months of that? You quit.
Not because they didn't want to work, but because they didn't want to feel stupid and incompetent every day.
Precisely. The fix wasn't about finding better people. The fix was creating a simple 2-week training program and a binder of checklists for every type of job. Step 1, put on gloves. Step 2, set up containment barrier. Step 3, start the air scrubber.
And the result?
Average employee tenure extended from 8 months to over 24 months. And customer complaints dropped by 60% because the work was being done consistently and correctly.
The owner realized he was the one who didn't want to work at building a system.
He wanted heroes, but what he needed was processes.
That's the line of the episode right there. He wanted heroes, but he needed processes.
It's so true. You can't scale heroes. Heroes are rare and unpredictable. But you can scale processes. Ordinary people can run great processes and get extraordinary, consistent results.
Okay, we've covered the traps. We've covered the diagnosis. Now I want to turn this on the listener directly. I want to do a self-diagnostic.
Let's do it. We need to help you figure out if you are in the safe zone or if you're in the danger zone.
Okay, let's start with the good news. Who doesn't need a coach? Who's already in the safe zone?
If you are consistently working 30 to 40 hours a week, if your business is throwing off profit margins of 25% or more, if you took at least 3 weeks of actual vacation last year, and by that I mean no laptop, no checking email, maybe you call in once, and if the business runs smoothly or even grows when you leave.
If that is you, seriously, congratulations. You have won the gold medal.
Go have a margarita. You did it. Turn off this deep dive and go enjoy your life. You've earned it.
If that is not you, if that sounded like a fantasy novel, let's look at the danger zone checklist.
Okay, listen closely to these. Number 1, you are working 60+ hours a week, but cash is still tight. You feel like the money comes in one door and goes right back out the other. You're a conduit for money, not a container.
Sure.
Number 2, vacation means working from a laptop at the beach while your family plays in the water without you. You're the guy in the hotel room on a conference call while everyone else is at Disney World.
Ouch. That one's specific.
Yeah.
Check.
Number 3, you are making all the big decisions completely alone. You agonize over them for days. You second-guess yourself for weeks. Did I hire the right person? Should I have bought that new truck? Did I bid that big job correctly?
The mental loop. The 3 a.m. wake-up call where your brain just won't shut off. Check.
And finally, number 4, the look in your spouse's eyes. That look that says, I remember you. I used to like you. You used to be fun. When does our life start again?
That is the one that hurts the most. That's the one that breaks people.
If you checked even 1 or 2 of those boxes, you are paying the blind spot tax, and we need to calculate it just to make it real.
Let's do the math again. Let's make it tangible.
Let's take a simple example. Let's say you have a 45% conversion rate on your leads, but the industry standard, what's possible, is 65%. And let's say you get 100 leads a year, and your average job is worth $3,000.
Okay, so I'm losing 20 customers out of every 100 that I should be getting if I was just running optimally.
That is 20 jobs times $3,000. That is $60,000. You are taking $60,000, a brand new truck, a year of college tuition for your kid, and you are piling it up in your parking lot and lighting it on fire every single year.
That is the cost of not having a guide. That is the cost of stubbornness and ego.
It is the cost of isolation. It is the cost of trying to win a gold medal without a team. You wouldn't send a skier down the mountain without skis, but you're sending yourself into the brutal world of business without any support.
So we're coming to the end here, and I want to make a very clear distinction before we wrap up. We've used the word coach, or we've used guide. But there's another word people use, guru.
Yes, and we need to be really careful there. I hate the word guru.
What is the fundamental difference between a coach or a guide and a guru?
A guru claims to have a magic pill, a secret system. Buy my course and you will be rich in 30 days. They stand on a mountaintop and they preach. They say, look at my Lamborghini. A guide is a Sherpa. A guide walks with you up the mountain.
They help you carry the pack.
They ask better questions. A guru gives you all the answers. A guide asks, did you do the thing you said you were going to do this week?
It's accountability without judgment.
Exactly. It's not about shame. It's about alignment. You said your goal was to be home for dinner every night, yet you scheduled a client meeting at 6 p.m. Let's talk about why. What's the disconnect?
That is the question a spouse can't ask without starting a fight. But a guide can ask it because it's not emotional. It's about the goal that you set.
Correct. It's strategic, not personal. It's about getting you to that podium you want to stand on.
So here is the final provocation for everyone listening, and I want you to really mull this over this week.
The question is not, how can I work harder? You are already working hard enough. You've maxed out your hustle.
The question is, what would have to change for you to work 40 hours a week and make more money?
And don't give the knee-jerk answer of it's impossible. We just gave you 3 concrete case studies proving it is absolutely possible. The answer isn't more hustle. The answer is better strategy. The answer is firing your cheerleaders and hiring a guide.
So if you're sitting there and you are feeling that linchpin burden, you are tired of being the most expensive, overworked employee in your own shop. You are tired of the well-meaning but useless cheerleader advice. You want the truth. We have a very specific and frankly, very unique opportunity for you today.
This is pretty cool. Ryan Hurst, the ICU nurse turned profit advisor we've been discussing this whole time, is currently conducting research. He's in the process of writing the second edition of his book, Profit Foundation.
And for that, he needs fresh data. He needs current stories.
He isn't selling a course, he isn't
Hmm.
selling a seminar, he's not selling a magic pill. He wants to validate his data with real service business owners in that $250K to $5 an hour range. He wants to hear your story. He wants to see your labs.
So this is a chance to get an expert, a guy who spots multi-system organ failure in businesses for a living, to look at your numbers for free, essentially as a trade for your perspective, to help him with his book.
It's a research interview, but the byproduct is you get a diagnosis. You finally get someone to stand outside the jar and tell you what the label says.
Look, if you're listening to this and you're that linchpin owner who's tired of being the most expensive employee in your own shop, you need to be part of what Ryan is doing. He's currently conducting research for the second edition of his book, Profit Foundation. He isn't looking to sell you. He's looking for your perspective as a service business owner to validate the data. If you want to help shape the book and get an outside look at your numbers, call or text Ryan directly at 517-955-2154. Just tell him you heard the gold medal episode.
That's 517-955-2154. And honestly, even if you don't call, just the act of realizing you have a blind spot is the first most important step to fixing it.
Absolutely. Don't let another Tuesday afternoon crush you. Go find your team. Go get that gold medal. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.